The debate that refuses to die in Demon Slayer conversations isn't about who's stronger between Tanjiro and some Hashira. It's the comparison that sounds absurd on paper, Tanjiro versus Muzan. This debate persists not because fans genuinely think Tanjiro could win in a straight fight during most of the series, but because their confrontation represents something much deeper, something that touches on everything the story is actually about. If you drop Tanjiro from any point before the final arc into a closed room with Muzan, the outcome isn't debatable. Muzan's physical stats are so far beyond any normal Demon Slayer that it barely registers as a fight. His speed lets him move faster than perception, his strength turns bodies into mist, and his regeneration means that unless you're specifically using sun breathing and targeting his neck with overwhelming force, you're essentially powerless. Tanjiro early on struggles against demons like Rui, whom Muzan could erase without thinking. The raw gap is comical. Muzan's power is absolute but stagnant. He's been the most powerful being for 1,000 years, and that unassailable position has calcified his approach to combat. He relies on overwhelming force because it's always worked. When he encounters unexpected resistance, his response isn't to adapt creatively, it's to become frustrated and lash out. That's not battle intelligence, it's a tantrum backed by godlike power. Tanjiro is the exact opposite. Every fight has been against someone stronger. He operates in permanent disadvantage, which shapes a completely different fighter. Tanjiro wins by reading opponents, understanding them, finding cracks in their defense. His sense of smell isn't just a tracking device, it's an empathy engine. He can literally smell emotions, using this constantly to anticipate movements and sense shifts in intent. Muzan's fear of Yoriichi isn't just backstory, it's an active combat component that never healed. 1,000 years later, the mere sight of Hanafuda earrings can cause hesitation, triggering rage and terror that compromise judgment. Tanjiro wears those earrings. He uses the breathing style that nearly killed Muzan. His face carries echoes of the man who broke Muzan's confidence permanently. Muzan makes consistently poor strategic choices when his ego is threatened. He could have eliminated the Demon Slayer Corps centuries ago, but didn't take them seriously. He could have focused on finding the blue spider lily instead of creating countless demons. His god complex won't let him operate rationally. Tanjiro makes sound decisions under pressure because he's fighting for something larger than survival. For Nezuko, for his friends. When you're not afraid to die, you can see the battlefield clearly. In the Infinity Castle, Tanjiro isn't Muzan's equal in raw power. He's not even the strongest on the battlefield, that's still the Hashira, but he lands the critical blows. His strikes force Muzan to regenerate faster, burn through limited lifespan, make mistakes. He does this not because he's faster or stronger, but because he understands something the Hashira don't. He understands Muzan. Tanjiro has spent the entire series learning sympathy for demons. He's looked at the worst monsters and seen the humans they used to be. That pattern isn't just moral framing, it's intelligence. When facing Muzan, this skill reaches ultimate expression. He doesn't see an invincible demon king, he sees a creature driven by pathetic fear of death, someone so terrified of annihilation that he's destroyed anyone who might threaten him. He sees weakness. The Hashira fight Muzan like an enemy. Tanjiro fights him like a tragedy. Muzan can feel that this boy isn't afraid, that Tanjiro's resolve comes from a place he can't touch. That throws off his timing, his focus. Tanjiro represents everything Muzan destroyed to become what he is. Family, connection, self-sacrifice, the willingness to die for others. Muzan represents isolation, exploitation, utter self-interest. Their fight is a collision of worldviews. Tanjiro can be weaker and still pose a threat because his existence disproves everything Muzan believes. Muzan thinks strength is all that matters. Tanjiro shows that strength without purpose is just violence. Muzan thinks immortality is the ultimate goal. Tanjiro shows that a short life lived for others is worth more than eternity lived for yourself. In the end, Muzan doesn't beat Tanjiro, but doesn't exactly lose either. In his last desperate act, he turns Tanjiro into a demon, forcing his blood into him. For a moment, it works. Tanjiro becomes the thing he's fought his entire life. Muzan proves his blood can corrupt even the purest heart, but Tanjiro fights it, not with swords or breathing techniques, but with will, with memory, with the faces of everyone he loves pulling him back. Muzan's victory condition was survival at any cost. Tanjiro's was protecting those he loves. By those metrics, even as a demon, he's still winning. When fans argue about Tanjiro versus Muzan, they're not really arguing about who would win in a fight. They're arguing about what strength means. Whether the ability to destroy makes you powerful, or whether true power is something closer to endurance, to love, to the refusal to become the monster, even when the monster's blood runs through your veins. By stats and combat feats, Muzan obliterates Tanjiro. The comparison gets murky. Tanjiro represents something Muzan can never defeat, the possibility of goodness in a world that gives every reason to be cruel. That's not a debate settled with power levels. It's a debate you live with, that changes how you see the story every time you return to it. Some comparisons aren't meant to be resolved. They're meant to be felt.